listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
The AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's The Real Housewives of Miami After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Real Housewives of Miami.
Speaking of doing it, Bing is for doing, and tonight we're here doing another after show for the Real Housewives of Miami. This is season 3, episode 10, Brazilian Bridezilla. I'm your host, Michelle Renee, joined with the lovely.
Hey guys, I'm Brooke Chavez. Happy to be here tonight.
Yeah, so that of course was Jagged Edge, Let's Get Married, which is appropriate because this episode is all about Adriana and Frederick tying the knot in their official wedding.
Finally.
Yes, because they were already married, of course, legally on paper, but we get to see their fabulous wedding, which we will discuss, at length for you guys. Okay, so let's get started with the episode. It opens and we see Adriana is at home with Frederick, kind of going over... Hey, all right. She's at home with Frederick, and she's kind of going over this laundry list of things that she has to get done. To name a few of those things, she has to get a manicure, a pedicure. She has to get her bikini area waxed. I'll just leave it at that. She has to pick up some bridesmaids' dresses. And originally I'm thinking, why does she have so much stuff to get done? Considering that, she is someone that has a little bit of money. It's not like she's, planning her wedding at home. Like, where is her wedding planner? Or even if she doesn't have a wedding planner that is that hands-on, where are her bridesmaids to help her out with some of these tasks?
Oh my goodness. I feel like this whole wedding was just sort of thrown together, and it was just kind of a mess.
It was.
And I know she keeps blaming this on, well, I'm Latin and we're late. I mean, yes, okay, sometimes we're late, but I mean, you still put time and effort into figuring out what the heck's going on with your wedding, girlfriend, And
yeah,
it just seems, I don't know what's going on with it.
Yeah, I agree. The night before,
especially given that she's a Real Housewife, and like you would think that she'd have wedding planners and people wanting to help her, like knocking on her door. Yeah,
and the day before the wedding. I understand that I've never been married. I've never had a wedding, but I understand that a wedding is like a really stressful time. But I think she's kind of to blame for all the stress that she was under because she didn't have her stuff together from the get-go, Mm-hmm. If you don't want to be that stressed out, then do things ahead of time so you can prevent, having to rush around like a chicken with your head cut off.
Right, her wedding is just a mess.
So,
kind of like her marriage.
Yes, very disheveled.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of her character anyway. Like we always see her in the confessional. She's kind of perspiring a little bit. Skin is kind of yeah. And so that's kind of been her character. If we recall, like last season, whenever she left her passport at home and then had to go back.
Oh
so it doesn't surprise me that she didn't have it all together, but the fact that so much was just a mess, I don't know.
It's supposed to be like one of the most important days of your life. Like you should have this stuff like checked off way beforehand.
Yeah. So moving right along, we then see this little beach party between Lisa, Leah, Alexia, and Joanna. Joanna and Leah are of course not invited to the wedding, but they're all getting together beforehand just to kind of, I guess,
hash it out.
Yeah, hash it out. And the main topic of discussion, is of course the fight that had happened a few nights before with Marisol and Leah and Lisa. So Lisa is voicing her opinion more so than ever this season. And I don't know, to me, it seemed like Joanna wasn't really a fan of that. I don't know. She had made a comment in the confessional, Lisa is voicing her opinion. And I don't know if that's because she's trying to stand out or she wants to be heard or if that's how she really feels. So, I mean, do you think that do you like the Lisa better from previous seasons that just kind of sat there and, played it safe? She's always kind of been the middleman and wanted to stay neutral. Do you like that Lisa better, or do you like the Lisa better now that voices her opinion and is obviously, more so picking sides?
Right. Well, I always prefer someone who's going to tell it like it is, tell the truth, stand up for themselves, and not like play coy. That's my personality. Like, I don't really have much of a filter, so I'm more attracted to people who are that way. So I definitely like her more in this season. At the same time, sometimes you have to like pick and choose where you're going to get in the middle of things, and some of it's just not worth it, and she's trying to be a good friend, and she might not have all of the facts depending on, where she's trying to play moderator or, trying to be more neutral. I think that Joanna is probably just a little, not jealous. What's the word? Why can't I think of the word? I think that she's used to Lisa, kind of being on the sidelines, and Joanna's always been the one who has more of a voice and is, going to say her piece and is always fighting and more in the limelight. And now that Lisa's kind of stepping in, I think that maybe she's, and I still can't think of the word. I guess, you can help me
like
here.
Intimidated.
Intimidated. I don't even know intimidated is the word, but like kind of just like stealing her thunder a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. I think there's a lot of different, roles shifting than what we saw last season. Like with Alexia, she kind of was the bully of last season, in my opinion, at least. And this season, we see her still kind of stirring the pot, but she does it a little bit more diplomatically. And then Joanna, like you said, of course, she was kind of the boisterous, loud one last season. And now we see Lisa's kind of, speaking up more. So I think it's interesting that obviously as they watch themselves from one season to the next, they, I think, make mental notes of how they should and should not behave and what they think is going to come off.
And I
best
also
on
think
camera.
poor Lisa that she sits at home all day while Lenny's working. Like, she doesn't have anything to do, so she just wants to like get in the middle of the drama. If you notice, she's had a lot more airtime throughout this season, because she has the time to travel and head to LA and hang with the girls and go see Leah's family in Texas. And like, I'd love to have that life, but I think she's just trying to like, have something to do, like play up her life or something. And I know obviously she has a lot of pressure with the surrogacy and everything, and we'll get into that later, but I don't know. It's fun. It's fun to see her just hopping around and getting in people's mix. So
Yeah.
I like that.
And another person that's kind of, playing it a little bit safer this season also is, of course, Leah, who makes a really good point that I wrote down. When she's discussing the whole issue with Marisol, she says, this is a lose-lose situation for me. And Marisol just essentially wants to make me look bad one way or another. And she says, if Marisol really cared about her mom and really wanted to make her mom feel better, then she would have lied and said that I was asking about her mom regardless.
That's so true.
And I think that's so true, something that I had never even thought about before. Once again, I think it just points to the fact that Marisol is trying to make this all about her. She's trying to make her mom's sickness all about her, and she just wants to try to stay relevant. And unfortunately, she's using her mother's stroke as a way to do so, which
right.
is totally unfair.
We all know how much Marisol just dislikes Leah. I mean, for so many reasons, but that's true. And later on, we see that Marisol's really about to have a breakdown over her mom. She feels like she's losing her mom. And yeah, if you're in that fragile and difficult of a situation with your mom where you're thinking you might even lose her, like you don't want to put her in bad spirits in any way, shape, or form. You want to be positive the whole time. So it is horrible. Although I will say, because I wasn't here last week, that I didn't really particularly but Leah came off when she had her little argument with Lisa as like she was trying to get away quick. Like maybe she hadn't sent the flowers earlier, that she just sent the flowers. Maybe she hadn't sent the cards. Maybe she hadn't actually reached out. Maybe she did but didn't really try. And she was just like, I just want to get out of the situation. It seemed to me like she was trying to avoid like the confrontation at all costs because there was some guilt in there.
Yeah.
But regardless, I don't even know. Marisol doesn't like Leah. And, you know, who knows what the real relationship is between Leah and Elsa. But why does she even care? Like, really, at the end of the day, if you don't like her, I think Lisa mentioned this, like, why would you even want Leah to be around there anyway? It's only going to piss you off. Like, you know,
Yeah.
obviously, it's just, her intentions are bad, so she just needs to give it up.
Yeah. I mean, Anne Marisol, she works in PR, so she knows
How to
yeah, make someone look good and how to make someone look bad. So,
Mhm.
I don't know. Lastly, on the pre-wedding topic, we see that Leah and Joanna, the two people that are not invited, have a little powwow at Leah's house. We see Leah's huge closet that's like the size of my apartment. And pretty much they just discuss, you know, the situation and how unfortunate it is. Not that Joanna's not invited, because obviously we kind of all expected that. But we see that Leah isn't invited, and she says she's what does she say? She said she's really not unhappy with the fact that she wasn't invited, because it would have put her in an awkward situation if she would have had to figure out what to do should she have received an invite from Adriana, because she says she would have felt uncomfortable going, so then she would have had to lie, or either she would have had to go and then she would have felt uncomfortable while being there. So my question for you and for our audience is, do we really believe that Leah is happier with having not been invited?
I don't think Leah, the mayor of Miami, doesn't ever want to not be invited anywhere. To anything, especially, you know, one of the housewives' big events. And especially given that at one point they were darn good. They were like sisters. They were really good friends. I mean, if I were really good friends with someone, I would have wanted to share that special moment with her. So I'm sure she's hurting inside somewhere. At the same time, she has a valid point that it would just be awkward. Like, I also wouldn't, if I don't want to be somewhere that someone doesn't want me to be, and this is Adriana's big day. So, you know, I wouldn't, if someone didn't want me there and I were in Leah's position, I wouldn't want to like ruin her big day. So I think it's a little half and half. Like, I think she wishes she were invited, but at the same time, she's probably relieved, because then she doesn't have to like take that extra step to figure it out. And Joanna, I thought Joanna and Adriana made up. Like, I thought maybe she might extend an olive branch, but then again, I mean, it's a new makeup. It might have been a little bit like for Roman and Frederick.
Yeah.
So, but I thought she would invite her at the end of towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting, especially because we know that Adriana's going to be at her bachelorette party. So it's kind of like Adriana didn't have, you know, the maturity to turn the other cheek and invite her anyway, when Joanna obviously invites her. I don't know if she invites her to the wedding, but she at least invites her to the bachelorette party. And we don't know what goes into that. It could have been people had to coax Joanna into inviting her, but I don't know.
But speaking of coaxing, we don't want to coax you into going and giving us 5 stars, but we really hope you will on iTunes. So you guys check us out on iTunes, comment, rate us. We appreciate all of your comments. I wanted to give a quick shout out to some of our Twitter pals. Specifically Watchtower Base, who we love, and he's watched us always. Adrian, it's at Watchtower Base. Thank you for watching, and thank you for the awesome comments. And there was someone else that I was going to say hello to who commented not too long ago, and I'll figure it out and say it at the end, but we just appreciate you guys watching. We love hearing from you. Chess Ocalia, at Chess Ocalia, thank you for watching too. And we love when you give us all the inside scoop and send pictures of what's going on with Adriana and Joanna and all that good stuff. So keep watching and comment. Give us 5 stars.
All right. To hop back into the Leah not being invited to Adriana's wedding, I just want to say that I agree with you that, you know, Leah is in like a weird situation where obviously she's going to feel uncomfortable either way. But I just think when it's something like a wedding, even if you're fighting with the person in that moment, you kind of need to maybe have the foresight to see that eventually you might be friends again, and realize that that person won't have been at your wedding if you don't invite them, you know? So I don't know. I think Leah not going to her wedding, I guess she wasn't invited, just really means that they're probably not going to make up at all in the future.
I know.
If they wanted to make up, I think that Adriana would have said, I want you to come to my wedding and be there.
Yeah, that would have been like a good, huge step. And a wedding is like such an important day. And if they ever had anything, you would think that she would think about her. But
yeah, so it's really
Who knows
sad
if
that
it was
it's
real.
really, really sad that they couldn't put things behind them and let bygones be bygones. I'm sure we'll see more of that play out on the reunion, feelings and hurt feelings and all that.
oh yeah.
But that's enough of the pre-wedding talk, all of the scenes we saw before the wedding. Now it's time to discuss the big day. The wedding day, of course, is here. So pretty much starts out, they arrive at the church, the bridesmaids are there, Adriana's family is there. We see her niece is there and her sister. She has another sister that couldn't make it, and her mother is having some health issues, so she couldn't come also, and then her father passed away recently. So we have her sister and her niece there, and her sister looks just like her. Yeah.
So weird.
That was weird. But we can tell Adriana's had a little bit more surgery.
Exactly. And Adriana looks a little more feminine for some reason. I don't know. Her sister looked a little masculine. I don't know what it was.
Yikes.
She was like a rosy version. I don't know. I don't know if you watch the New Jersey.
I do know. I totally do. So
anyway, that's kind of
so
mean. But
Adriana
I wasn't
is
saying that she's gay by any means.
Adriana is
Interesting.
Wait,
I'm just gonna take my foot out of my mouth now.
Okay, Rosie.
This is a regular thing.
Wait, who is the lady on Real Housewives of New Jersey? Why can't I think of her name? Not Rosie. Rosie's sister.
Kathy.
Okay, so Adriana's Kathy and Rosie is Adriana's sister. Okay.
Yeah.
So we digress. Anyway, so as the bridesmaids are arriving, Marisol's there. She's really excited. She's ready for some cockies.
Oh my God. If she continues to use that word.
She used that a few times this night's episode. And Lisa arrives a little bit later than everyone else, and she says, it's not about me today. Like, I'm just going to be fake to Marisol and act like nothing happened. And of course, we never want to see anyone be fake. But in that moment, I thought it was good for her to make that call of, this isn't about me. And if it means that I have to, suck it up and be nice to Marisol despite what has happened, then I'm going to do that. I think that was very mature of Lisa.
Are you kidding? That's the Real Housewife thing to do, right? I think this is the most commonly used term on every Real Housewife show is it wasn't the time and the place. So I was not going to address it then, Yeah. It's never the time and the place, but especially not at someone's wedding. So it's good that she did that.
Yeah. Well, we always have one person saying it's not the time and place. And then we also, I think, always have another housewife that isn't aware of there being a time and place. The one that's always
why we
like,
watch, though, right?
Yeah,
We're
that's
just
always
waiting
like
for
at
someone to
someone's
screw that up.
christening, a wedding, a funeral that's just like wreaking havoc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but good call, Lisa, there, to make that decision. So we pretty much see, the typical things that go into getting ready for a wedding. The bridesmaids are all there. They're getting ready. Once again, this theme of disorganization comes up. She's late, really late.
Like to the ceremony, an hour and a half, right?
Yes. Or was it 2 hours?
Somewhere. Well, 2 hours for the reception.
Yeah. Frederick comes in, which you're not supposed to see your bride on the wedding day. And he kind of didn't see her because she had that mask on, which was hilarious. But when he comes in,
was that Leah's mask? No. You know how Leah
gave her.
Give Alexia.
I don't know.
Anyway.
When he comes in, he's looking for his tuxedo. Like, again, it's just like, why isn't all of that stuff taken care of? We see her when she finally gets into her wedding dress. The veil is not right.
And she
just tears it up. No. Why did you not have your wedding dress like hanging up? And why did you not know what your veil looked like until the day of your wedding?
Right. I feel like this whole production is like a metaphor for their marriage. Just the fact that like apparently they had gotten married and then we don't know really what's going on with them. It's just like a big conglomeration of mess. And it's just thrown together. And that's just kind of how I see the relationship. It's like so back and forth and weird. And, Adriana said I finally found someone who loves me for me. Like I'm pushy and I'm jealous and I'm stubborn and I'm, all these things. And it's just like, it's weird. It's just weird. And Frederick's like, okay, whatever. I'm patient.
Yeah, good for him. Because, I mean, I don't know. Maybe things will like work out for them in the long run, just because he is so patient and so calm. And it's not even that she's not calm. It's just that she's very frazzled.
I mean, but how do you keep your guests waiting 3 hours total, 3.5 hours total during the entire event? I mean,
and not only them waiting, which we can get back to that. But okay, number one, there's a long ass emailed invitation that she sends out.
Evite. Who sends an Evite too for
their wedding?
Right.
Number two, they have to wear all white. Number three, they have an outfit change. Then of course she's late as hell. Number five, she does not. It was clear when they were changing that she did not specify that there was a designated place for their guests to change. People are changing in their cars. They're changing in like gift shops.
In the hotel gift shop.
Yeah, like. And number six, we see later the whole champagne thing. Just like.
Oh, right. The
yes.
Sabre champagne.
So with all of the demands that were placed on the wedding, I think being late is already an issue. I mean, it wasn't like 15 minutes late. It was hours late. Being late is already one issue, but especially being late on top of all of the drama that you've already made your guests go through, I just think that
and
was
then when she
so
stepped
rude.
out, so she was 2 hours late walking into her reception, apparently because she was changing, like all of her guests had to change as well in their own weird places and everything. Then when she stepped out, I mean, she just had this one dress on and some gloves and like a brooch in her hair. I was like, what took 2 hours? I'm a girl and I know it takes some time, and especially on your wedding day, but it's just, I was just like, I was tired just watching it and I wasn't even there. So I can imagine the frustration.
Yeah. How long is it acceptable to make your guest wait at a wedding?
I would think no more than like 30 minutes, right?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know what I don't know.
Like,
what the
is it like normal for the guest to have to wait or no?
I mean,
like, is it kind of just a thing you accept at
usually
weddings? Like, yeah, she's probably going to be like 15 minutes
late. If you book an
late.
event and you book it for a certain amount of time, if she had one ceremony that happened and then another one and they were booked for certain amounts of time, I mean, you would try to run on schedule.
Yeah. Do we think that the production made her look worse and that within those 2 hours between the wedding and the reception, it was like picture taking and things like that they didn't take into account? So it just kind of made her look lazy, like she was just...
But they didn't show that if that was the case. And we see Frederick just sitting around with the rest of the wedding party.
So we just think that she was negligent and late and lazy.
Kind of. That's like Latin Cuban not being on time. I mean, that's to the extreme. So.
Well, I mean, and to say something positive about the wedding, she did look really pretty. She did look great.
Her dress
she
was
looks
really
beautiful,
gorgeous.
and her her dress was gorgeous. It's exactly what I said. So there's two positive things. It's not all negativity coming from us. Overall, if I had to rate the wedding, I would give it. Does anybody watch Four Weddings?
I was just thinking that. I was like, well, the venue, I give it 6. And this, I give it,
Okay, so.
The food.
The food. Okay, these poor people. It didn't look like there was a cocktail hour or anything. And they're waiting
and then
for dinner for
Lenny
like 2 hours.
mentions that they didn't. It was already 11 and they still hadn't eaten.
Okay, so do we want to talk about Lenny?
Absolutely. Oh, my goodness.
Okay, well, speaking of Lenny and them not eating, our final topic is Lenny, and the drama king. He throws a little fit.
Yes.
I don't know. So your thoughts?
So I'm sure most of you watched it, but they were late. Lenny's waiting. So is Herman. Herman waited for Alexia as well. He was in the bridal party as well, and Frederick. All the guys are sitting around waiting. The girls are dressed. Lisa comes out, and Lenny's like, I gotta go. I'm ready to go. I'm leaving. I'm so tired. I guess he worked that day too. I don't know. If it wasn't I don't know if he works weekends. I don't know what day it was. But apparently he was, inserting boobs all morning. and then he waited forever at the ceremony. I mean, I would be frustrated too. And he was like, I want to go. And Lisa was like, oh my goodness. Like, I don't want to fight with you here. Stay. Don't leave me. I'm your wife. And she convinces him. And I am so torn on this issue because I can so sympathize with Lenny just sitting around waiting forever and being like, this is ridiculous. At the same time, like, if I wouldn't leave my husband. I wouldn't just get up and be like, okay, well, I'm leaving. Because, I mean, it's not my husband's fault. I mean, in this case, his wife's fault. I wouldn't just leave him there. I don't know. I can't really, I guess I'm more so on Lisa's side. But she could have even come out or texted and said, hey, this is what's going on. Let me come out there and check on you. Because I mean, I wouldn't leave my significant other for 2 hours and just
Yeah.
leave them there. What do you think?
I am definitely on Lisa's side. Like you said, I can see where Lenny would be frustrated. Anyone would be, but you've been there all day. What's 10 more minutes? What's 20 more minutes? Like, you really. And also, I think it was very disrespectful, not only that he was going to storm out on his wife, but also that he was going to storm out right as Adriana and Frederick were, about to.
Right, and he wasn't just a guest. He was in the wedding.
In the wedding, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the way he went about it, kind of making a scene, and I want to go now, and just storming out. It was just, I don't know. It shocked me because we've never seen
Me
that side of
too.
Lenny. We've always seen him as very friendly and
so shocked.
sweet and calm. And
I feel like this is a big time forewarning, like something. I mean, we know the surrogacy issue is on the table, and they have all this pressure from that, but something else is going on. Like, it was so weird because at the moment when he's leaving, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, are we watching a marriage potentially breaking up in front of us right now as we're seeing this other marriage, cultivate through the wedding?
Yeah.
And it's like this weird foreboding, and it was just weird. I had this weird feeling about it.
I did too. And I really do not want to speak anything negative into their marriage, but I mean, that's my job here. So, but I think their relationship has evolved over the seasons. Well, she wasn't on the first season, but last season to now. And it's maybe it's just that we're seeing more of them, but it's definitely that we're seeing a lot more negative things between them. Like last season, it was this, great marriage where she was the little trophy wife and he took care of her. And we didn't really see any, tension between them. But now it's coming out more. With her issues with his family, with them not being able to have a baby, and now with this fighting and bickering that we see them do sometimes. So I don't know, that has happened in other seasons of Real Housewives, like Tamra and Simon, for instance. The first season that they were on the show, their marriage was great. He's getting her gifts, and not to say that's all that a marriage is made out of, but they just seemed happy and in love, and then you fast forward a few seasons later and they're getting a divorce. And I really hope that's not what's in store for them, but I think they need to be able to look at the season and the show and take away from it,
Right. And we know that the Housewives franchise is also notorious for seeing a lot of divorces. Women go from being housewives to being single.
Yeah.
In their homes. And a lot of the times too, it comes with the dynamic of these women may just be housewives before they start their show, as Lisa is, and she doesn't really have any other title or job or anything, and then all of a sudden she's shot to fame, obviously, because she's on the show. She's the one who people want to know more about, when before it was all about Lenny. He was the doctor, he's the one who's well known in Miami, and maybe he doesn't like that.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I don't see it being an insecurity issue with him, and I don't know, but she's still very much, even though I would probably say that she, in the grand scheme of things, is the more popular one. Like in Miami, he's probably a little bit more well-known still, but in, the broader
their social circle.
In the broader,
he's
pop culture.
low-spoken.
Yeah. In the broader pop culture world or whatever, like she's more of a notable name. But to me, it seems like she's still very much dependent on being his wife and proud to be like Miss Lenny Hochstein or whatever. And a lot of the other housewives we've seen where this issue of insecurity from the husband comes into place, it's the women start to want to branch out and want to become their own.
Yeah, they grow into their own.
Yeah, they want to become their own brand. And for her, at least from my perspective, it seems like she's still very happy and content with being his wife and his, perfect little Frankenstein bride. So maybe that'll work in their favor.
Right. No, definitely. She, despite having the last name of Hochstein, is the only housewife that hasn't hawked any products or anything out there.
Yeah.
She ain't selling anything yet, and they all do, and she doesn't have a book yet. I think she's going to do something with her whole fitness deal and maybe start something on that end, but she hasn't gone there yet, so maybe it's not that. I think that there's just a side to Lenny that we just hadn't seen yet, and there's a side to every man or woman.
Everybody's got two
sides.
Two sides, and some people have even more than two sides.
And usually, you see the best one on TV, right? And so it's finally, we're peeling those layers away, but I don't know. I really do think it could be foreboding that maybe he's looking at everything. He's like, she can't give. This is so horrible of me, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
Say it.
He's probably like, she's beautiful, obviously, but like she doesn't get along with my family. Like my family doesn't like her. She can't even give me a kid. Like what? He's thinking like, could I possibly cut the leash now before? I don't know. Who knows? That's so horrible. And I'm sure they love each other, but nothing surprises me on these shows.
I know. In either case, they definitely need to figure it out before the child comes into the equation. Because, I mean, I think a lot of people that are having marital problems sometimes think, oh, well, a child will make it better. And it kind of does the opposite. And the child makes it worse. And then also when you break up, then there's a child
and then you
in
can't
the
get rid of them.
Yeah. So,
it's a whole other
so they just need to figure it out. I do like them as a couple. I really like Lisa. She's one of my favorite characters. So I hope things don't get any worse than they are. And of course, I hope that they can get pregnant eventually.
I know.
As
I'm
of
just
right
so
now, I
excited to see a
still
baby
don't
Hawk
think.
scene.
I don't think she's pregnant, but.
No,
I
and
guess
she
we'll see.
said, the pressure's mounting because of the surrogacy thing. So I think they are moving forward with that.
Yeah.
And I stay updated on Twitter and Instagram with her, and it doesn't look like
she's pregnant.
there's a baby bump anywhere anytime soon.
Oh.
Let us know if you guys know any differently.
Yeah. So that just about wraps up our after show. Do we have any predictions for next week?
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Well, I've been waiting for a long time to see this joint bachelorette party. I am hoping that the girls just finally have some fun and the whole dynamic changes. So I predict that they're all going to get together, and hopefully the dynamic will change. And this might lead up to a really, really great wedding on Joanna's end, because right now it's just been a big mess. So I'm predicting that they're just going to have like the craziest, best time in Vegas.
Yeah, I agree. And I predict that in an episode of 4 weddings, Joanna's wedding would win over Adriana's. So I'm predicting that Joanna's wedding is going to be a lot more organized and better than Adriana's. Sorry,
I
Adriana.
agree. Maybe not the sex life, but the wedding will be better.
Yeah. So thanks for watching, guys. Until next week, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Michelle Renee LA.
Yes, and hit me up on Instagram and Twitter at Brooke Chavez LA.
All right. That does it for us.
From
Keep
Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.